Alright, I am sending invites now. Yeah. No, you were great. No, you were perfect. Alright, so everybody should have gotten an invite. I know.
Oh, it's showing my camera. That's funny.
Yeah. Hello, Miss Harron. Can you hear me? We have it all set up. Do you want me to set your camera up for you again? So it does the right thing.
Sure.
Screen share. You want to just show that. Start screen share. Okay. So you should be good, and then you can just hide that so it doesn't show everything. Hello. Oh, I still don't see Ashley. Is there anything else?
Yes.
Perfect. Right. We're doing much smoother this time. The only person I don't see is Miss Ashley.
Okay.
Okay, so what are all the booklets? Are they decodables or dictionaries?
No, I have some summer writing homework for a few messages because I have it's not common, but I actually get to have some of my same students again. Started as trans. So they're on my Tinder. So it's,
But right now.
you don't get that chance very often, so I figured let them know where they're at. You know?
That's
It
awesome.
doesn't happen very often.
I loved my favorite year was looping first second. It's so nice because you just get to start. Like I could start small group universal access like the first month because I knew where they all were. I knew all their families. I knew exactly. So nice. I loved looping. Looping I miss in year round. Year round was great. Summer I don't need 3 months. I need like because of the way I used to teach. You probably do it. You're working nonstop and you burn yourself out, but you know if you only have to do it for 9 weeks and then you get a 4-week break. That's very doable. Yeah. And then the kids come back and they've like rested and they can do things that they weren't able to do. Like that Christmas time when they come back from vacation and they can always do way more. All of a sudden you have readers that you didn't have before. But that happened every break. It was.
And that was young.
Elk Grove was year round for a while. I'm gonna guess they're not anymore. I don't know.
I think that's the way to go. I mean, because if you go back to find out why it was set up the way it was in the apartment.
Yeah.
Just on the calendar. No, it doesn't really go like this.
When we had really big, Elk Grove, the schools were like 1,100 students, and so you had to do year round because you could only fit 800 on a campus at a time. So we needed like 300 to be missing because we were so big. I don't think they're that size anymore. Well, I don't know. They're pretty big. Not that big in Chico, no?
No. I'm 600.
Okay.
So we have three sites of 600, one at 8.
Well, do we have 1, 2, 3? We're not missing anybody, right? Is everybody? Are you guys ready to start again? Am I missing anybody? One hangout person? Okay. You just let me know, Wes, whatever you want.
Do you think of any reason why a DNA-only client would need access to the grades tab?
To set up grading periods for their grade book?
They don't use a grade book at all. Like, not a single teacher.
And they're not using our report cards?
Nope. No grade book, no report cards. I can't think of a...
Grading periods to set up like fall versus spring versus summer session? But you can do that in the files, the data files themselves. You don't need the grade tabs
Yeah,
to set that
I
up.
mean,
No.
okay.
They want it?
Well, it's one of those situations where one person has it. I think they opened it up for themselves because system
Yep.
admins can do
Yep.
that, and now there's a new system admin
Wondering
coming
why
on.
do I have it?
She's like, well, why don't I have what you have? And I don't think they have any idea what they want to do with it or anything. It's just,
They just want it.
well, if they have access to it, I should have access to it kind of thing. So I'm trying to
Give it to them.
yeah,
Have
sure.
fun.
But I want
Not
them
gonna be able to
understand
do
that
anything.
You're not actually doing anything with it, right?
Yeah. I'm trying. Let me look. Audit. Yeah, there's nothing. There's nothing in there that.
And like the issue that they
I don't have it actually at all.
transcript because
It's actually not on yet at all.
that's available like by looking at a student profile. Like if they're just uploading transcripts from their student information system, I don't see why they would need this tab at all.
No, I don't either.
Okay, I think we're going to go ahead and get started. I don't see Ashley yet, but we're on time, so
Okay.
we're going to get started. So we're here. She'll be able to catch up. So, okay. So part 2 of the day is
Create
we're gonna
assessments.
create those assessments.
And then I want to, in the middle of, I'm going to interrupt your creation of assessments and show you how to create some items. And the only reason, I would just start off with showing you items, but I want you to kind of build the assessment with the standards for what you want to create and see what's available before you go through all the work to create the items. Because it is additional work, and if it's already there, why build it? Okay, good. So that was my goal. If for any time, you get ahead of us and, you want to start building items, but the rest of the group really isn't ready for that, you can access the help menu through that control panel, click on lessons and videos, go to data and assessment, and that link that I showed you earlier under item bank is where you can find all the help docs about how you can create a passage, different types of items. That media interactive item, I think, Tammy, that you asked about,
Yeah.
Audio or a picture or video, it walks you through how to build that type of item if that's what you were looking for your test. Most of these items, when you create them, are scored by the system, except for constructed response. Drawing response isn't scored by the system. That would be for primary, draw me a triangle, and they would use their mouse to draw like a rough estimate of a triangle. It would be a wiggly triangle, probably. And then for higher grades, that might be graphing plots on a grid, a line segment or something. So those would have to be manually graded. But other than that, you're free to bounce back and forth. Usually for me, I look at the help menu and I have that tab open, and then I can jump back into the site and go back and forth. So what you're going to do, if you don't remember, the way we started off creating assessments is we went directly into assessments. And last time we chose create a new assessment, but now that you've been in the item bank, you can just go directly. There's an item bank section, so you can choose create a new item bank assessment. And that eliminates the option of choosing on-the-fly, manual, or item bank. You can just go directly there. So you're going to create a new item bank assessment, which will launch you back into the item bank, hopefully, if I did it correctly. And then from that point on, it's the same process. So you're going to look at your curriculum. You're going to pick your standards, and I don't know if you want to give them any sort of direction about that.
That's actually exactly what we're going to jump into.
Okay.
So one of the things that we have to make a few decisions about, number one is a naming convention, and so I'm just going to throw one out there, and if you guys think it's good, we'll keep it. If not, we'll negotiate a little bit. One of the things that we need to talk about, though, is the test that you're developing today is the end of the year summative test. And we have some resources that kind of give us some guidance on what are the most important standards and how many questions. But what we don't want to end up with is 120 question ELA test and 120 question math test to give at the beginning of the year. We can't just say we're going to give 5 questions on each standard and then we're good. So we want to do something a little bit more. We want to make some decisions around that a little bit more. Robin, what did you say you brought for that? And this is just for the math, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So we have some direction in terms of math, and then we're going to have a conversation about ELA. Because what we don't have yet is a blueprint, unless somebody knows about a blueprint that I know.
For aspect.
Yeah. Like which are the most important standards?
It's very vague.
It's very vague.
It's not like the old CS2 one. It exists. I got one. I think I got it on my machine.
I haven't been able to find one, so I don't know when it came out. Maybe I didn't look in the right place.
November 2012.
A blueprint that shows which ones are most important? Like key standards?
Yeah, clusters.
Okay.
So, is it some, let me show you what I have. Maybe it's something similar.
And there's also the
I was going to grab mine too.
This is what I have. You have something that's
document. Is Achieve the Core has this
It's
very
from
similar
Achieve the
document
Core,
to
yeah.
this. Yeah. That's good.
Is there something more, or do you think this
Well,
is...
let me.
Okay.
So here's what, I don't know if this helps. This is what Inspect made. So it takes the SBAC specs, says here's claim 1. Claim 1 uses these targets, here are the standards that are measured, and here's the types that will be on SBAC. That's the only type of blueprint that I've seen. So when Key Data Systems comes out and supports districts, they say you don't need an item that measures 1, 2, 4, language 4, and language 5 because you only need to pick what matches the targets. So So like for this target, there are 3 standards. You'd only need to measure 1 standard in order to get an idea about that target.
Okay.
But I don't, that's their theory behind it. We've never seen a blueprint that says this standard is going to have 4 items. This standard, it gives you a percentage.
That's what I have. It's like for the math, it's the clusters, and it says the major clusters, and it's supposed to be 70% emphasis on the major clusters, and then the supporting clusters 20%, and then additional clusters like 10%.
Yeah.
And that's probably vague, but at least you know what they're considering to be the important clusters. It's a starting point, I guess.
It is. So I mean,
So I can print this for you guys if you want to play your grade level. It's just math. Yeah. Start with that.
So I know when I've worked with districts to build assessments before, some things they consider are what are your depth of knowledge levels on the test, and have a variety. At the beginning of the year, more depth of knowledge 1, because you're doing recall, and that's still a good way to measure understanding, but knowing that as you progress, you might have higher depth of knowledge and a mix, so you could look at that. You'd also want to look at the variety of item types that you're using, and that would, Kinder, you're going to have multiple choice. That's just, there's really not a lot of other options. They could type in a letter, but as you get up in the grades, you could start using that as part of your consideration. But I mean, you can pick whatever you want to use as your criteria.
So I think what we need to kind of get to is like a decision that we're going to make as a team that we think this is right. As right as we can make it, in other words. It's not going to be perfect this time. We'll probably come back in and fix this at some point. But the idea is we want to make sure that we're using an assessment that is going to give us a pretty safe indicator of what's going to happen when they take the Smart Balance test. Now, can we get to an exact? Probably not. But we want to get as close to an indicator as we can. So the question becomes then, as we're looking at those, and that graphic that you just showed with the claims, the target claims, I think that's probably a valuable graphic in that.
You want me to email it?
Yeah, if you could, that would be great. And then what we'll do is we'll use that to sort of decide how many questions. And we'll continue that discussion before we publish our tests. We'll use the claims to decide how many you're putting in. And then before you publish, let's have a conversation before we put it up. In terms of a naming convention, we're doing 3 summative tests. We're doing trimester 1, trimester 2, trimester 3. Our trimester 3 is the one we're working on right now. So just summative, grade, or which number it is, and then grade level, and then ELA or math, whichever one that you're working on right now. I think we should all start with the same one. So I'm thinking maybe we start with ELA today. If we finish the ELA one, we can move into some. So all of us should, at the end of the day, have a summative, whatever your grade level, summative 3, whatever your grade level is for ELA, and then that'll be our sort of our exit ticket today. That'll be, if we finish that, we're ready to go. Okay? Is everybody clear on what the expectation is and has what they need to kind of get going? We're going to get started. I know this is going to be an iterative, this is going to be a process. We're not going to necessarily get it perfect the first time, but we're going to try and get as close as we can, because our goal by next week is to have all 3 of these done. And for both subjects, because we need to have them as a starting point for our teachers to be planning. Obviously, you're going to be part of that planning process too, but we're really trying to build out what they need to plan for. Is everybody clear on that? Okay. Ms. Howard, you're looking, are you okay? Okay. Just want to make sure. I'm trying to read faces since I'm not getting comments, so if you have comments, don't hold them back. You're here because we want you to be part of the leadership. So if you have questions, comments, anything, you need to speak up. I'm just not going to hurt my feelings, I promise. Yeah.
All right, so since we're going to start with summative 3, would it be safe to, even without knowing like exactly the distribution of how many questions, at least to shoot for 1 question per major standard, or
yeah, you probably want to start with more than that. It would be my guess. So you're probably thinking more like 2 or 3. I'm thinking it's probably going to max out at 3 because if you look at the ELA strands, there's it's 16 total, I think. So, so that would be, 3 would put us at about 48 to 50 some odd questions, which seems about fair. Would seem like a reasonable spot. It's not going to give us a great percentage breakdown because if they miss one, they're already below our scoring, but at least it'll give us an idea of where to go. I think if we go higher than that and we're looking at like 100, 200 question tests, we're going to end up with students that give up after the first 5 minutes. Yeah.
One thing I would caution you is when you're looking at math, especially like the intermediate level, is like one item in the new way of looking at the test items can be like 7 items
Right.
in the old way. So be careful with that
And
as far as the number of items you're choosing.
And the other part is because these items are going to be linked to different standards, it might cover more. One item might cover more than one standard, so that might actually reduce our number at some point too. So that's a good thing. That's going to help us. If you find ones that cover multiple standards, take advantage of those, but especially for the summative. Keeping in mind that at some point we're going to have other questions for the more broken down ones. This one, summative 3 is going to cover all, right? Summative 2 is going to cover everything that you've covered in your curriculum by the end of second trimester. And summative 1 is going to be everything in your curriculum by the end of the first trimester. Okay? We know that the curriculum doesn't go all the way to the depth, and that's where these questions are going to help guide some of that planning process. So it's important, but what we don't want is to be jumping around the curriculum. We don't want to start in chapter 1 and then do chapter 5 and then do chapter 3 and then do chapter 1 again, right? We want to make sure we're still going through the curriculum the way it was designed. We're going to add to it as needed, as necessary, but we're really going to be building off of the curriculum is going to guide our creation of our assessments. Yeah.
So that means that we're going to have to know, or think about pacing-wise, what are you doing in high time some of the ones?
Absolutely. And that's a major part of our conversation starting probably tomorrow when we get back together as a team. So, or when we plan our next meeting. And at the very latest, our next meeting has to be next Monday. It would be better if it was tomorrow. And we'll discuss that at the end. Because I know some of you have vacation days planned in here that were not just today. So if you have vacation planned for tomorrow and Friday, then it is what it is. We'll figure it out. We'll get you back in and we'll support you as much as we can. Okay? I know everybody's back here on the 14th. And you guys as a team have been released by your principals to do this project. Okay? Questions about that? All right, so why don't we jump into summative 3 for ELA?
Can I say one thing?
Please, absolutely.
Okay. Just for, because my background's English language arts, it might help to think about the progression of those standards. Like standard 1 for reading is all about just key ideas, right? Just the basic recall of who, what, when, where, why. But then standard 2 and 3 are more like, okay, now that you know that, what can you infer? What do you know about characters? What's the author's main idea? So if you think about building a test, standard 1 is measured by those other 2 standards. Like if you can infer, you obviously knew the details from standard 1, so you don't always have to cover standard 1 in subsequent assessments. And a lot of, you'll notice that connection because they were so thoughtful in writing the standards that you could pick a higher standard and still know a lot about previous skills by measuring like a higher level standard. Does that make sense? So you don't necessarily have to throw every standard into your test if you're picking something that's so high level it kind of presupposes some of those other standards. That helps you narrow it down.
That helps a lot. Thank you. Very good. All right. So just so I'm clear, we have grade kindergarten. We don't have any first grade today. We have second, third, fourth, and fifth. I'm doing 6 and we have 7. Or the other way around?
That's all math.
We have a 6th grade book.
It doesn't show. Yeah. Yes. Hey Wes, is that the naming conventions?
Yes.
Summative one, grade, whatever,
Yeah,
and then
ELA
ELA,
or math.
and these are spaces.
Or
you want them underscore?
Probably underscores. I think. Do spaces work?
Yeah, you can do either one though.
Then just do spaces then. I think spaces will be better.
I don't know.
Does
That's-
that
that's-
on the
I think
search?
that's where.
Very good.
This is that.
And you got that?
Just like.
That would be fantastic.
It's not like.
I mean.
I started thinking.
Filter it together.
No, that's what we have to do. That's where.
Maybe I should be working with some.
Yeah.
And there's.
Yeah, so I know.
That material we have. Like, I was in school yesterday.
And then also
But
it's
it's over the green,
mostly
like,
reading
like, you know, stuff. Because I could easily grab fifth grade and do fifth grade right
Oh, they changed it.
now. Okay. It's the same. All right. So
I know.
they don't. This is.
So I think maybe,
There it is. Got it.
if you click expand all and you look at,
So.
so you're thinking like a
Yeah.
There's a
Thank you so much.
Yeah, you're welcome. It's a. But I'm told it before, so I'm a lot more comfortable now. These are the first time that.
Well, this is the.
and I didn't even look at it. I'm just like, okay.
I know everything. That was the only reason that I was like,
Yeah, so you see like.
if I hadn't charged it,
Yeah,
yeah.
I mean, I almost,
11th grade.
Yeah, well, they just told me. I didn't
what am I
see it.
gonna, what's the
That
other
was
reason I already
the
gonna
extra
assess?
13, 14.
After 5, and I said,
Yeah, you're not gonna do that, right, so knock out all the stations. The whole class. That will help.
Still need
This
to,
test
it's like my
for
favorite
its
science.
purpose is only gonna get you.
I could get 50. I gave 50. For me,
And so much.
15.
So I shouldn't put that in.
Oh, doing shows, and they're all 30, they're gonna do. So, but it's.
Okay, so this is
I
the
could
one
like,
updated now.
like,
So this is
where
supposed
I
to
would
be.
be, like, my new science teacher.
which
Because they were
one?
on
I haven't done it. It's a 10 carrier separate.
Right now, we have a
Checking what I'm measuring now.
Yeah.
My grade, and like, this is what it's for you.
So this is basically.
It's just seeing grade 3, so I thought, because they do all these letters.
And these are recent. So,
Yeah.
But he said.
Yeah.
The question is just being able to look at it.
So, what is the more? Well, I can't.
Excuse me?
Yeah.
End of the year.
I'm looking at ELA. We're doing grade 6.
You sit down and hear all the.
Okay, so check this out. So this is the clusters, right? So then reading, writing, speaking,
Yeah.
Okay, so this is the overall. So each one of these, they're going to have 21 questions, 13, 9, and 8. So remember the claims that were the like they claimed the student. If you look at the practice test, remember when you look at the practice test that had the claim on it? That's what they're talking about.
So like the back of the standards, well,
So claim is what it does. The claim is what the young practice does. So if you have the practice test, next to why the question. Yeah. We just have to do it. So I think.
It's a great test. But activity
is there information? There's a picture.
pretty terrible. So I would
That's a better way to start.
yeah.
Or something that you
9 is 11.
is moving, better to test.
So they can let you get
It's like a 3-day. Yeah, it's harder. Thank
They're doing those tests though?
Well, I mean, yeah. I think so.
Okay, I'm not.
Yeah.
We're trying to make sure we're not doing two of the same.
What grade are you?
I was supposed to be doing 4.
You're doing 4.
The whole.
Miss Ashley, did we decide which?
I wasn't actually.
So aren't you teaching 6 next year? Is that what you
Right,
said?
but we don't.
I mean, not good.
Yeah, the question, the actual.
I'm not trying to tell you to do something else. I was just
No, I
asking.
understand. It's hard to explain.
Okay, don't have to. No worries.
I don't have anything 6th grade here.
Got it.
So.
Yeah.
It would be hard to
Six
6
Very
standards.
You gotta be the one
To
that
do
covers
the
that.
6th grade test with no 6th grade material.
Well, no,
Seriously,
the actual.
Well, you could do the 4th. Are you both 4th grade? Because you're this year and you're the current year and you're the last year.
Well, yeah, we just kind of,
You know, they had to write
blocks because I'm getting ready to start
Yeah.
a 4th.
math.
She's doing 4th.
Yeah.
It makes more sense.
And you have to write.
That one of you do 4th. Well, maybe start together doing 4th and then you split off it, or you
That's
split
what,
off.
that's
and
what
do
we're
it.
doing. I
Yeah.
guess we're just trying to get
Math teachers have to be
on the same page.
Yeah, just one of you pick an account, like don't both build it. So you can both build 4th, you can peek and say, ooh, look what I found.
All right.
That's it, but we're just trying to figure out how many
Let's go check the records.
stands.
Oh.
Seeing if we can figure out a way to get it to a reasonable number of questions per
I
stand.
just got a bunch of
You see what I mean?
Yeah, in the like said, we keep an eye for things like, how they're moving.
Right.
That can't move.
Yeah.
Wes, do you want, while I mean, if folks don't have questions, I can start going into your test admin account and sharing those assessments?
Which is the ones that we're making?
The ones that our inspect already provided?
Oh, yeah.
Would that be helpful or confusing?
I think they might be confusing because
Okay.
they're not aligned to the curriculum. I mean, I guess for the last one.
The last summative?
The last summative would work really well. Yeah, if you share the last summative, maybe that's what we should just do. Maybe we should just pull the last summative on the back of the
Yeah, I mean, it's covering all the standards, and then we can use
Yes.
that as,
Yeah.
yeah,
As our,
let's do that.
as our entry level and our, so that would actually
Can you
eliminate.
please?
that would actually eliminate some of that.
Yeah, and then we'll be able to design the other two.
Basically, look at the summative and split it in half.
That makes a lot of sense.
Good. All right. So
This is why I get paid the big bucks.
Well, thank you, because, you know, you're worth it. And we will defend you at every time. We would want K through 7.
Oh, you do want the K through 7? Okay, perfect.
Yeah.
It looks like I'm missing ELA for 6 and 7, so I gotta look at why you don't have those. Yeah. No, we'll add those. No worries.
Aren't you guys do better with that? So you see, having the summative, at least we have the framework to work from, and then we can look at our curriculum and figure out from there what, the mid-year, your trimester 2, trimester 1, it's work backwards. But we have one that's designed based on all the standards.
Still have
Does
to
that
learn
make
how to
sense?
read.
On your Thursday.
Okay, so.
So their tests made.
I'm trying to make your life easier, so we're not all going like, ah!
Okay.
Now, the only problem is summatives, because of SBAC, only exist for 3rd through 7th. So
Right.
K1, 2, I can share the 3rd grade test to them, so they can see like which standards, but it's not.
All right, so you're fine with what you have.
Okay,
All right.
we'll
So
start
she's going to give us the summative for grades 3 through
8.
7.
Yeah.
And then what we can do is take the summative.
But it's actually giving.
That's our end of the year. And then we would work
So
backwards
we're gonna try.
from there. Then we would be able to design the trimester 1 and 2. Yeah.
And sort of target.
But you would have what, your summative.
So that's what she shared with us.
Yep, it'll show up in your assessment list in just a second. And you can find it by using the keyword summative.
So if we have any written down for 30 we don't have to. I think we can use those and get these across, and then we just align the second one and the first one to our curriculum. Right?
Yes.
Doesn't that make sense?
Yeah.
Why would we recreate the wheel?
It's all, it's based on your, all the.
And then everything else is going to be based on where we are in the curriculum.
Curriculum. So
So
that's what we're
that's
talking
Some
about.
kids were taking.
Yeah. So maybe we should jump into the pacing discussion today and get started on that and then figure out where we
So
want
then
to
we can.
exactly. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So
It takes so long.
Oh, yeah.
We
Because
don't have
That was hanging.
No, I was already let me go.
and you can't have that. So it's like actually that makes sense.
so if Miss Karen is saying she's going to use her end of year test as a template because she's a kindergarten first grade, that might make more sense.
Yeah.
Yes.
I guess to the friends that were there.
We did something
To match up with the first
Somehow.
The temporary for one. For 2 years. You know, so,
You
so,
know,
I think we're in company. It's a little different.
you have a very the only issue we have the batteries and iPads.
He said, the first is like.
If you click on the right
In order
hand
to get
side
this
of
on
the
Well, I mean, I'm saying teacher, because you know, the first couple of weeks, yeah, because that's what I found, I did,
I'll send you
go through that first, but for culture day, I got like some,
So,
so that we should,
there is.
Yeah.
Keywords are all of a sudden it's draining like crazy.
little
Great.
Okay, so you would do.
You guys solving all the problems of the world over there.
You just raised my stress level. Talking about how that is.
They can.
sentences.
But definitely look into it, but it's not
Or,
so Google, so this is linked and simple, so that would be one that you can definitely apply. And a lot of schools, there's the lead subjects, teaching, predicates. So there's different types of sentences, subject, predicate, complete and simple. Right. And you gotta check that, and then compound sentence. Oh, so you get trying to think too is a little more complex. It starts being compound subjects, and predicates, simple compound subjects, prepositional phrases, which
So you should have gotten an invite.
like this whole lesson 89, like bi-weekly right now. Bi-weekly. On the TPM. On the TPM.
Okay.
But one thing, because it's not like key or grade standard. It's just like, so, yeah, essentially, and I remember back when I was being like in 2nd grade, I couldn't actually figure out what it was reading.
So you have to right and try to take a student class about
It starts with a phrase, and like recognizing phrases,
So-
and like turn into a PDF. And so they just, a lot of times, it's really all it comes down to. It's like, that's the word you look for. Because you could write a sentence that starts with although again. With that.
So like,
But, so for those who deal with
even if it wasn't touching, even if like right now, imagine some type of PDF. It's like a worksheet. How would your kids complete that worksheet?
I need to know, someone has to be
yeah, so, but.
They don't have apps on Chromebooks that allow you to do that, like on iPads? Really? Like you can't use Evernote or any of the things that exist on an iPad on a Chromebook?
Well, Evernote has a web app.
Did you always do it for the winter?
You can desktop app. Not on.
Oh, interesting.
Oh, you're talking about, oh, I'm thinking that.
That.
Haiku? Can you do it on Haiku? I know you can upload PDFs on Haiku,
Okay,
but I don't know.
What is haiku?
It's kind of like Edmodo mixed with. I don't even explain what it is.
It's Jen.
Is that minor rights?
Yes, and you can do grade books on Haiku, and you can store resources.
No, the second benchmark is whenever time is two. We're not doing the midterm around Christmas break again.
Oh, we're not.
He's working on us already. He just jumped on board and started saying, and you should change this. It's great. I know. I remember you when you came to that first meeting. You were like, "Oh, really?"
That was the important.
It's good. And we still need to make 10 more changes. Yeah, I don't know. We should see if Chromebooks can access Haiku. That's what my husband uses at his school. So like, I don't. I don't. Oh, there she goes. Give it to Google girl.
Yeah.
Oh, create a new PDF of the.
Oh, I mean, it's fun, spring in session.
We did all the stuff.
You're a principal.
Up in here.
You can't even put stuff on
I
your
can't even, yeah.
Well,
All
that
the stuff I
makes
can't
sense,
do.
because there's not much time to come back from here to what to December.
Exactly.
all
So
online.
we've got this here, this land, and this here. So you have about, I come
5,
10.
6, 7, 8, 2, 3, 4.
But why would you count, shouldn't this be here when you do your like?
Like even this,
Have to be done
you
that
couldn't,
way.
you couldn't do.
So yes, you, but you gotta think.
That's right.
But we all cut it.
So, yeah.
Okay, so if it's an intersection, so you at least want to have that assessment, like a week and a half.
You definitely want to have
Or-
it before, you want to have it so you can use the data for interview.
So you're looking at least 2 weeks.
So there you go.
At least.
Right. And
Yeah.
so, and what I saw last year was.
Now imagine your
Yeah,
teacher.
in particular, they only got to do, they had to do a lot more in second trimester to go beyond that. The B1 was basically one, and then they got more comfortable and were able to go
So they would have
faster.
to go through all.
And that's one of the things we have to sort of be able to identify is what's actually possible for other teachers, not just you guys, because I know you guys are, you're really good at pacing.
They can't save it to the
Track,
desktop
but
or anything?
we want to make sure it's a
Can't save
visible
anything.
thing because we're going to require. You know what I mean? We're going to require that you are to this point in time to do this benchmark, and you're going to have taught all of this because
Oh, because
we're going to use this data on, not only on report cards, but,
when you were uploading.
you know what I mean?
Yeah, you can see it.
Well,
Can I save it if I have one of my zip drives?
So you're talking about the 18th will be first day of the show. Let's just say that. First day of the show.
Yeah, you can test them out.
Now I'm going on a mission to figure this out.
Good.
Oh, there's an answer.
So that's technically 6 weeks of new material.
But you're still gonna, you know.
They
You
did.
do? Try this thing.
So I wonder.
Easily get through.
Yeah.
Here's some of the assessment is
Well,
just
definitely work on it.
material this, but
Right, and so that's how we'll know what
Was this
standards
hashtag
have to be
you-
covered.
Yeah.
So we use the crosswalk to figure that out. And we'll put them-
How do I get that?
Right.
Upload. Would you like to see?
In second trimester, there's going to have to be, we're going to have to get to 2 and 3. There's 6, because there's 6 weeks, right?
Yeah.
There's 6. So you go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then
So
you
this
do
is
6
like
kind of
a
after
practical-
after the test.
Right. After the. You have a
How do you get started on the test?
which is
That
still
would be
gonna
on
be here at
what?
the end of May.
How do you get it out
Yeah.
all your kids
Right about here at the end of
so that they can
Yeah, we can have
upload
that
it to
in the
PDF Escape?
I mean, that's up to them.
Right.
Yeah, it'll be a
Don't
different.
most students, I mean, most
So you
students
just
have a
have
USB,
So
right?
then-
So you
Yeah.
can
As a
but then you
teacher,
put it in
you
touch
have to
me.
take 30.
Have to load it to a drive.
Speed drives and one by one.
So what we have now is a new company that makes it you as
So,
a
and
computer with
So you
USB
guys
ports, so
taught-
you can
and I'm
just push
thinking
it up
about
to all the
if you taught-
USB drives at the same time.
So those are the
Do you remember what your
logistical
Yeah.
problems your teachers
I
run
got
into.
And at the end
I
of
got
the
into
2 things to try.
class
two things
that trying
to
to
be
be
done.
paperless.
So that's
I-
fine, smart about it.
Smart about it.
That's the biggest.
They're not
thing.
automated.
when I
Sure.
wasn't done, I did 6.
Where you can just put it on one
You can use
place.
Google Drive,
I
but how
was
do you get
trimester.
into, like, she
That's
found these
reasonable
things
or
online
not?
that
Like,
allows you to annotate PDFs online,
Well,
which is great.
I wasn't,
But you have
because
to
I was 2
upload
weeks
the
behind.
PDF
Right,
So
yeah,
From
I was-
somewhere.
from your hard
I
drive.
did it, but
Right.
And it doesn't have an option
Was-
to bring
I
the
would
Google
say-
Drive.
But
Because
yeah,
it's
two
more-
the 2 weeks was not
Okay,
done
those-
the last
So
2
there's
weeks.
no way to save it. Like, there's
And if you have those.
I haven't used a Chromebook that much, but that's what I understand, because there's no way to save anything.
It doesn't live on the Chromebook. It lives on the cloud.
Third grade, we don't have a 5th grade.
To save anything.
that we can bounce people off.
Yeah. My husband's one-to-one school, high school. All the kids have
I
iPads.
would say.
And they
my
use
assumption, if I
Haiku,
were-
Evernote, so they don't have any
I
paper.
have my
And that's all they
administrative
do.
staff would say, no, because in most cases,
I have
it's
not.
gonna be teacher.
So then
So-
it's gonna have to be C1, and then 2, 3,
I love it.
4, and then 5, 6.
It was an adjustment. He freaked out. Like when they told him at the in-service, like, we are not buying copiers. Like our school does not have copiers. They were like, what?
Yeah.
And he's a math teacher. He's like, what do you mean there's no paper? Because he's like,
Here, do 5, 6 from March to the end of
Yeah.
It's like,
In terms of teaching curriculum to fidelity, I mean, there are things that we can teach them to do
right.
to cut corners. Like,
Right, yeah.
You know, in terms of
And I don't know,
that
now
fifth
this would
week,
cost some money. but
how to incorporate that, like I
This
used
is-
for fifth week for reading groups during the week before.
The biggest thing is this fine
I used
point
the
stylus.
things in that fifth week
Because now, and it has,
Right.
it's electronic,
so
right?
that
it
the
connects to
material is
Bluetooth
still
to the
covered and
iPad.
it's being.
So you can literally like
It's
rest
because
your
it's just
palm
review, so we
on
have
the
to
iPad
just use it
with
to
the
supplement
paper.
to
And
move
you write
it in. To the other people,
It's
just
just
so they have to use it fifth week. Exactly.
This
But
thing
I
costs
use
like
it
$50, but it's like the coolest thing.
I figured
Well, I
out.
actually like these. I love technology,
especially when we're talking about
right.
theme
Like, I'm
3.
taking
So we were talking about, yeah, just processing that
Yeah.
information.
I got those.
And like math. and
Because I was, I mean, only have time. Yeah, these. So.
And then when there's like eraser button or something, or.
Yeah,
So
and
it's like,
so it
it
works
has been
with
just one
certain-
theme, so that like, they were like, I
This will work with any. So if we gave just the theme 4 and included theme 3 in it, if we give it all at once at the end of 8 weeks, it would be okay. It works
I
with
think it's those two
you know,
things, or is it four and 5?
20, 30.
I think you're on
apps
the
that
3, 4.
that you
Because one of them is review. It's.
and it works with the sharper note handwriting app.
That's theme 3. Okay, maybe what?
There's a handwriting app.
It was
one piece of paper.
5. That's not level 5. Has 5 reviews. The character.
And you just write on it.
Character setting is
automatically
already.
saves
It's one,
your handwritten
isn't it?
notes to
Isn't it
just character
setting
setting
is
on
five,
that, but it has like handwriting. I think it shouldn't be 1,
So it's
2. Here's character
Yes,
in
it's
1.
one.
Your handwriting
So
is
five.
5.
So 5 is already a review.
Then
Right.
it's not going to be able to recognize the handwriting. If you have decent handwriting, it actually doesn't.
Well, no.
But this is
not
review
that.
too,
Not
isn't
that.
it?
About that a lot. It's figured.
But isn't it, but it's.
This is review.
This is review as
Management
well.
details review.
So
That's what
then,
makes it
so
right.
5 and 6 would make sense if you got through.
There's no paper.
4
We're not allowed.
by the end of
Oh,
time.
no, I think I saw.
We have contracts.
That means you
Some
have to
district
do 10,
contacts, we have to save the signed copies of them,
Oh,
if they're not all digital, but I think that's it. Yeah.
I'm ready to do that.
Or technically,
It has a certain level of depth.
I don't want to
You're
lose
teaching
the
handwriting
handwriting.
knowledge.
I want to type it.
Access code through the bio now. But that's still, it doesn't happen. So we're.
So we're thinking.
I think
And then.
no, they're not. They're
Oh, there, are they video?
yeah, that's why I invited you to the video. Yeah, and so if you're in the video hangout, there's so accept the invite for video.
But I don't want to do that because you can combine these two. I mean, it's 8 days. And we're talking, that would be theme 2, correct?
yeah, you start.
Because you will start theme 2.
Yeah,
So you didn't pick up a few solutions.
Yeah.
You can do two
You have to,
cents in there.
because-
Clean time.
The way it works here, you'll be fine. I mean, I don't know if you want to do like weekly at the end of that second week, but
But then you got a break, you either skip that by weekly and move on, or you give them a partial time, something, you know, like you need just a provision, right? That's what you want to do.
yeah, and then, okay,
You might not be able to do the whole week.
Small groups.
You're gonna get the whole, like, even just doing the training, that's all be.
So like,
You have to
every lesson, so lesson 6 is an assessment, lesson 7. So would you give a summit for both? Or would you turn it down to the
Yeah, exactly, that's what I'm thinking, like,
I probably would do.
Yeah,
because I mean, you're going through this really quickly, which is fine, because
you can.
there are levels.
But not as,
Thinking,
not as.
okay, cool.
Yeah.
I need to slow down.
Yeah.
Whereas then I
Well,
feel
yeah,
like
but I mean, but I'm
I was
looking as far as,
you know,
why would you assess them?
going through that.
Why would you
I
do?
So one thing I didn't do that I usually do when I'm in a big group is I start off by saying, this is a hands-on training. We're using technology. We all feel different about technology. We're all different places. So, that being said, at any time during the training, if I'm going too fast, which I will go too fast, you need to raise your hand, just like we ask our students to do, and say, Katie, you've lost me, I'm 5 clicks behind you, please. And you're not the only one in the room that feels that way, so don't be embarrassed. So I usually say, do that. Then I also say, if you were sitting next to someone and you are 5 clicks ahead of them, be a good buddy and look over and help them out.
Yeah.
So like setting it up at the beginning.
From the very
They just
beginning.
Yeah, like first of all, giving them permission. It's okay to stop me if I'm going too fast. And second of all, those of you in the room that are really comfortable with this, please like be nice and help the person, offer to help the person.
Go through even teaching them.
Yeah,
You need to
that
be
helps.
talking to them and saying them.
Let's see.
So even if I just chose, you know, 1, 2, and a particular
So they're all working over there.
Hi.
Sorry about
Oh, there they are. Thanks, no problem. Hi, sorry everyone, I'm joining in.
Hi.
Just leaving these two. These are for the levels here. For each grade level, we'll list like the claim and the aspirations.
Those are all the targets.
All the different targets, and then over here it tells you how many items there are for each like, kind of group.
Mm-hmm.
So in terms of trying to figure out like how many items per
Yep.
I'll give you a guide.
So it's almost like that document paired with the key data one. Because the missing piece on that is you show teachers targets and they don't know what. Okay, so target B is 15 items, but what's target B? Yeah, it goes claim, target, standard, but then it doesn't tell you the number that your document is. So it's almost like marry the two and then you'd have the perfect document.
No, it's just because we're trying to put everybody else grade levels, and this is not as easy as it should be, I guess.
one? Can you guys print copies of the crosswalk?
Love to print something, but the whole copier's all. So I have a few things in the queue.
I have soft copies I can send you.
I only did grade.
Read and understand. Got it.
So, can you catch Ashley up a little bit on what you guys were talking about? I know you can't give her the full recap, but she's going to be.
Thank you.
You're on my screen.
Can you hear us?
Who? You said Ashley, right? Ashley. She's not there. Is she there?
She looks like she walked away.
Because Tammy's on my screen. Article on my screen for sure. This is cool.
You wanted to show me how to do that. Mr. Allen and I were playing with that the other day. Figure out how to yeah, do the hang.
It's not on the phone, like that.
Yeah, we're looking at just how far we later to be able to get through by the end of the first trimester.
So how many groups have we
We're
taught?
talking right? That idea.
Crosswalk.
Ashley, can you hear us?
So the.
Yes. Are you talking to me?
Yes.
Okay. Yes, I hear you.
So to catch you up where we are right now, we were just trying to break out kind of the boundary of the assessments given, or what would be included. So for summative one, we have after being one, and that basically covering the first trimester. Summative 2 in the second trimester should include things 2, 3, and 4. And then summative 3, I'm assuming coming before Smart About testing should include 5 and 6. I'll look at 5 and 6 heavy.
Yeah. It's in the. It's in the. It's in one.
What's the, you know what the document's called? No. Yeah, just that.
Yeah. Is that the new one?
Yeah.
Does that make sense to you?
What? How many weeks are in the first trimester?
Counted.
12. And then how many are in?
So go to Illuminate Real Pursuit. Go to the advanced tab.
11.
11 total. And then what's the second?
6, 7, 8, 9.
It was confusing.
Back. Goes about 12. Huh? Right. So 12. 12 because you got these 3 days, which got that day off, and that day off. So 12.
Yeah, but when we try to summatives that we have to do that
So,
yes,
was listed.
sharing.
Go to.
Because the key for you, what I would call it, you get in, yeah, right? No, I know, but that's what I'm saying. So if we look at it from that point of view.
So they should get
Yeah.
they have to get through chapters 1 and 2.
We can teach you. We don't have to cut stuff early and spend the whole weekend doing report cards. Put that credit in. Report card rating. As far as I know.
If they could work together.
So if I have a report card with my ID, the ID, it was.
I'll do my it was actually good.
So,
Third grade, is that what you made available to us?
Okay. Alrighty.
So yes, I have third grade ELA CSS summative.
Yep. And do you have a math one too?
Performance and math.
Ooh. So you have a third grade one. Okay, so I got the fourth grade one.
Does it automatically sign you out?
With performance tasks. See, we ain't even thinking about that. We ain't even thought about that yet.
Yes.
They were. So you said we're doing ELA first. I don't know what she sees.
And you want to
Yeah.
Was that the?
Uh-oh. What did I do? What did I do? It's already part of this. Of course. Yes. I'll be doing that too. And I'm done yet. That'd be a fun game. Good. I'm gonna need. Okay. I have no clue. I have no clue. Good. We had to like. One thing is there. So I think we have those two. So I have no clue what it's like.
So if you want to see like
List. It's a book list. I probably already read it.
Your master's program.
Well, that or and I did the Fortune too. So and Fortune
You can't.
and hope
The chapter.
for years. They have the
All right, so if we look
I think I got it. Where is
So it's 42 questions.
yeah.
They're yellow.
The hangouts. Oh,
So what I used to do, and tell me if this is what you did. But when I used to design lines,
That worked.
I used to go through the yellow stories, and I gave a week to each of the yellow. So this has 1, 2, 3, 4. Out of the 4 weeks for chapter 1, right?
Well, let's see, in seventh grade, let's see. If
So
they
this
got
chapter
chapter one. Give you an idea, chapter 1, they were
No, because this is done.
it also shows on the.
So we're gonna do 1 and 2. But
So what
Four,
is
5.
that we're just gonna use?
Yeah, so we're working on 1 and 2. So you're working on your pacing guide, and then from your pacing guide, you're going to develop your that make sense?
They get it.
so let's
So you're okay with just one person?
Yeah, that's really
Yeah.
easy.
So the first one, yeah, definitely.
Wes, I put it through chapter 3.
Wes. You guys would cover
Subject.
between
Yeah.
so she's the virus.
Coming up with a test for.
So from here, I can go back and say, okay, these are
Yeah.
Yeah.
so I don't know the Americans.
Can you share that?
But this is that over to.
All right. So, Ashley, which test are you doing?
So the thing you don't want to do is you don't want to have to go on, you don't want to go to certain parts of the curriculum. The assessment should be fine. The only one that's an outlier to that is you have to cover all the standard.
Right. But you summative too.
Yeah.
It needs to
Cover whatever's in 2, 3.
So that's what I'm saying, we're looking at the concepts that are 2, 3, and 4.
Robin, should it be cumulative? Should the second one be cumulative, cover trimester 1 and 2?
That's what the put in here, that it should be seen 1, 2, 3.
Yeah,
I think that's what we've done in the past.
Yeah. I think that would.
I think that's what HMA, I think that's what your hardcore materials had, did they? Cumulative assessments after you got passed? So you, like when you have your mid-year?
Yeah.
Yeah, so you probably want to look at the second benchmark as having, it needs to be cumulative.
So then,
From
I'm sure what these are.
the first one, right?
You're not comfortable with that.
Yeah. Are you saying including like the first thing? Yeah. Yeah, you have to.
You have to, because you gotta have, we have to have it as a read on how the kids are doing.
Right.
Alright. So then, right, so you can say
So
here's
I
the.
put, yeah, I put chapter 3, which might be great.
Assessment.
Sounds like.
Actually, take
Wes, can you hear me?
Yeah.
Wes, can you hear me?
I don't think so. I don't think so. Can you hear you?
Hello?
Oh, Ashley's trying to talk to you.
Sorry.
No problem.
I was getting ready to do the math, and I just realized that the end of the year assessment is ripped out.
Well, actually, don't worry about the math right now.
That gave us, like, that was the best way.
Because, and then the ELA one, I guess they never had a book.
Formative assessment.
So Miss Allen just told me they never had a book
But in middle school, we had.
for a
we had
5th
three
grade
tests with 6, so we
assessment
had
guide.
mid-year every
So
trimester.
I don't even know. I mean,
A midterm. every
she
trimester.
says she thinks that it was ordered.
So they would literally,
Okay.
but I.
So I don't know what you want me to do.
I know we can't
We
do
got some good news and some not so
I
good.
get 6 different
Good news
versions
is
of
we're
my
moving
summative
forward.
assessment
You don't
throughout
have
the
to worry
year.
about
And that's how we track because of course, version 1, beginning of the year.
I'm sorry. Can you talk louder? I'm having a hard time hearing you. Sorry.
I'll be right back.
Okay.
And if you did I not mute it?
I don't know.
I thought I did mute it.
Okay. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you. Sorry.
Okay. Oh, no, that's okay. So, the summative assessment is done already.
Okay,
I'm
good.
going to take the Illuminate one and use that.
Perfect.
What you're trying to do right now is you're looking at the themes that you feel like have to be covered by the end of first trimester.
Okay.
And the themes that have to be covered by the end of second trimester. And
Okay.
so whatever standards are covered in those themes are the ones that you put on the test. And you're going to go to the item bank like Katie showed us and select items based on that. Does that make sense?
Yeah. So then that gives me something to do.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you.
All right. No, probably. This is
Okay, so I think what we should do, I think they need to get through chapters 1 and 2. That would. There's only 11 weeks.
So that'll work fine.
Okay, so for me then,
What?
yeah,
Because,
okay, so
then the next, maybe they're doing.
what was
I need to.
it was search, right?
I'll just send it.
We need this for all the teams.
We could do anything one.
Excursion, correlation.
Yeah, I think that's gonna be fun. And then, so we're looking at, so it's like a theme for.
Oh, payment is one. Yeah, that's what I just said.
Yeah, she's not.
So where our resources are. Yeah, that's because I was trying to.
No, they're in, those.
Where do I go?
So list of assessments. Here we go.
Well, that's okay.
Is it so? The curriculum doesn't line in Honolulu, right? It's California. HSP.
Yeah.
Alright, so we're looking at, what are you looking for?
Which one is that, your assessment guide?
Okay. Talking about, you can't, I don't know if you have access to it. Yeah, I don't think it's been shared with you. Okay, so we're looking for, you're looking for 7th grade. Colors, which again, which color is the,
The interims,
yeah,
is Halloween, green Christmas, pink is Halloween.
So should I go to?
and so pink is the summative, the one that covers everything?
So those are is benchmarks,
Okay.
and the summative is called summative.
Okay.
So if you just type in summative, you'll see all those.
Okay. And I have to share it with her if she wants to be able to see it, right? If
Sure.
she's
Ms.
not-
Robin? Yes.
So I,
So.
So they are.
Some
So you could
Oh, no, we're
mask
doing
and
one.
mask
Okay,
up
so
here
one,
and just share all of
four,
those.
here,
Share.
give, assessment.
Descriptions or share, like you can do system admin, you can share the user, whatever you want.
and I can do it.
Assessment covering.
Oh, you want to share them?
I just wanted to share with the people in the room.
I was doing that while you guys were talking.
I don't think she got it.
I didn't give it to Robin though, because you're not associated with grade level, I just shared like third grade,
Okay.
fifth grade, and fourth grade.
Okay.
And then you use your box. And anybody else you want to share it to. And then all that stuff is on there. And then you want her to leave down.
The enders.
But you're gonna make a copy of it if you want to edit it.
Right, the only reason you would do edit is if Miss Robin wants to. Because edit also works. So right now test out is the other one.
You can
Done it.
share. She's like, I don't want it. Don't give me that power. All that.
So you have this, you have this, the summative assessment.
Okay, so now where do I go for it?
So, yeah, so if you go until, you probably just have to refresh that. So I shared them all with you.
What?
Okay, so I need to see. You what?
I need to plug in. My video for the whole time is killing my battery. How are you guys doing?
We're okay. She's working on math. I'm doing language.
Okay.
And we're gonna share.
Very good. And you extra because there isn't the pre-made ones for the end of the year, like there is for third and fifth.
One extra one?
You guys have to do. Originally everybody was going to do 3, but we have pre-made ones for third and fifth.
Oh.
And you're already
That's
doing
fine.
it. So
That's fine. Yeah.
So, Mr. Pepper.
Basing it off of the from there.
Yeah.
Mr. Pepper.
You're not being heard.
That is so aggravating. I just want to talk to her.
Who?
The person he has me working with. I'm tired of talking about
Tammy?
nothing. It's distracting. Huh?
With Tammy?
Yeah. I'm trying to do 2 things at once.
Well, it's probably not your microphone. Maybe Wes can talk to her and see if that way you guys can talk.
Can somebody over there tell him to unmute his mic?
Does anybody hear us? Anybody? Miss Heron, I think it's only you and me. It's only you and me. We can like sing a song and no one even hear us.
Gosh. I don't want to take that risk.
These are strands.
I don't either.
Under.
Pretty common. But, you know,
These are substrains. Language are strands. These are substrains.
they look beautiful.
Yeah.
But how do they identify this?
Yes. So when you click on it,
Yeah, that should be right. That's 1.2, right? Because that goes
so when you it's gonna look like this. You can see. Understand. Which questions is this language?
Okay. I just opened the template, so it has how many? So here it's showing.
All entrances to me.
Better than the third.
That's pretty good.
And then so if you click on the
Miss Heron?
Uh-huh.
Yes. Hear me?
There you are. Hi.
Oh, that's good.
Okay, so in terms of the long vowels,
So when we do
I
that,
have
the key that we're gonna
I don't have the kindergarten assessment. Yeah, I do. I have the beginning of the year assessment for first grade. We can start with that. You were asking me about long vowels. You would have to work with your first grade team.
Okay.
You guys could share materials.
Okay.
I'm not sure. I mean, you know, it seems like Fortune School is trying to align all of the schools in the way we work together. But I've already shared all of my materials with my kindergarten team.
Okay.
And they have already actually started working on long vowels starting the 3rd trimester.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, they had already looked at their curriculum, at their crosswalk, and they were done teaching the curriculum. So they just, you know, started teaching first grade materials. So that shouldn't be a problem.
Okay, so that's the kinder team over there.
You should be able to put it in your item bank.
Okay.
And be able to assess it without worrying about where you're going to get the materials from, because we have the materials.
Gotcha. Okay. So that's probably the case a lot of times, where if it's not in our curriculum, then we just look up to first grade, right?
Yeah. And the good thing about the first grade materials is that, well, our assessment materials are already provided for us on PDF through Think Central. So if it's a case where you're probably planning at home on the weekend or at night, you know, you don't have to worry about taking your teammates' materials home. You already have it, and you know you can look ahead and plan ahead and anticipate, you know, what would be coming up. So, yeah, it's kind of up to you. But I just wanted to show you, for example, our beginning of the year. Have you already looked at it?
The first grade? Yes.
First grade? Okay, and yeah, you see. So what we did this year, we saw that there are so many similar items. The only thing we left out for the beginning of the year.
saw your message.
Are you still there, Tammy?
I'm still here. I'm still here.
The only thing we left out was I'm looking for it. Was the reading part where they had to know.
And they have it, no, it's not aligned.
The misspelled words. Or
Not the misspelled words, where they had to know like the blend diagraphs.
Okay.
Yeah, we just left that whole part out because we anticipated that they wouldn't even know that if they haven't been introduced.
Okay. All right, that makes sense. Thank you.
Okay. Oh wait, before you go, the inventory when you get to math.
Yes.
Inventory assessment. Inventory test looks like this. Have you seen this?
Yep. Yeah, that's the same one I used for math.
Okay, so you guys already have those items.
Right.
So I will use that for the summative. We've been trying to do that for the past 3 or 4 years. So.
Okay. Okay.
So
Great.
I'm gonna get back to work.
All right. Thank you.
Okay. Les.
Do we not address it? Well, evaluating the prediction of the individual using her emotional, making her are probably making. So do you want us to reference that other standard, or because the way it's here, it says that it's not specifically delineated. So you're referencing other, so go back up.
That's what I think it's more logical.
Probably.
You're looking at whatever. It's not.
3:15.
And how important is the show?
I don't think it's that important, to be perfectly honest with you. Do you want to do item creation today?
I think that requires the
Yeah, I think we're done.
right now.
I'm good. I just want to make sure that.
No. I think we're okay. Can I talk to you about a couple things since we're not there? So the next step in this, and you saw our 3 steps that we have for today, the next step was we also want to start to develop formative assessments for each theme and chapter that we have. You said you could upload the answer sheets to our curriculum, right?
Aligned to the old standards, but you could go back and try to align.
Exactly, and then can we change? Will we be able to edit like answers and change? Because we're going to edit those. We're going to probably add to those assessments to make them more aligned. But essentially, we just need like a starting place. You know what I mean? We're going to use everything we can as a start, everything in our curriculum that we can as a starting place, and just build on top of it. Right?
So now, here's what I don't know. I don't know if we have your curriculum here, so we can check. So let's go to the help menu.
Go to the help menu.
Lesson committee. And we're going to go to the assessment manual.
Assessment?
Yeah. And the link is assessments we've already built for you. There we go. Yeah, first one.
Hey,
I was
first
like, I was making it hard, but it's right there. Okay, so this is HSP excursions. So we're gonna look. Yeah, so it's alphabetical. So.
There's Holt.
California
That's good. Yeah, that's it.
Oh, they are?
Yeah. HLA, quarter, entry level, mid-year, progress assessment. Well, I don't know what the workshops are. Are those the? Isn't that the old one?
Well, unless that's the writing workshops.
But isn't
Old writing.
okay. I think that's the old one, right? That's not the new one. That's the old version of the HLA.
The workshops?
Yeah, the workshops were separate from these, were they not? They used to do all of the reading ones and then all the workshops on the back.
I don't know how. I mean, look.
Those ones are called alternates, so maybe keep scroll. Yeah, you can check the ISBN, diagnostic and summative chapter formal. See, this is grade 6 to 8, 6 to 8.
Yeah,
So look at
that's what we're looking at.
ISBN. Well, this is the text that we could ask. Text, or we could ask them the it's probably the same.
The assessment.
It's the assessment book.
You'd have to have the assessment book. So once you verify
Yeah, we could check.
ISBN matches, then we would just load all those.
Okay.
What
All right,
about
and
for
then
math?
hold on. You wanted to look at the ELA for the other one for the, what was it? It's not Holt, it's
HSP excursions.
HSP excursions, right? That's going to be down here further, right?
And that would be the.
Isn't HSP still hardcore? H stands for school
Hardcore,
publisher.
yeah.
So I don't see it there unless it's under E for
They may be calling it Houghton Mifflin too. If they bought them.
No, I had HM. So HM reading.
There's, wait. Hardcore.
School-
HSP,
math,
Hardcore School
that's our
Publishers.
Math, though.
Well, that's what they're using for math, so that's good.
Oh, okay.
That is what
Give
they're
then.
using.
Yeah.
Okay.
So those are your math ones. And then if you scroll further up, let's just see if it's under excursion. So what that means is you'd have to send us the teacher guides and you'd have to build them.
Okay.
Or you guys just
And we just build them by adding.
you go to create a manual assessment and build the institute, all the standards, just because that's what we would do. We would, someone will sit in our office and create those teacher guides. Yeah, it depends on your timeline. So, like, if you needed them now, you would probably be faster building the ones you need now.
Right.
And then if you wanted to say, and can you start working on themes 2 through 6 for us?
Yeah.
So they're done by the time we get there, then we can do that.
Huh.
Okay.
Wow.
Yeah. Okay. I think we'll figure that. Okay, that makes sense. So we would definitely want the HSP math.
Okay, which this is assessment guides. I don't know.
That's right.
This is chapter pre-test, post-test, units benchmark, pre-test, post-test, and this is quarter 1 practice complete. So this sounds like more than this, but I don't know if we need one or the other or both. I can just load all of it.
Yeah, why don't you just load all of it?
It's
That way I
gonna,
think.
it's gonna all load to the test admin, and then you get to share.
That'll work.
So I can do that while we're here.
Mhm.
So I'll load those 2, and then do you want me to load the whole?
The whole ELA.
We gotta get the assessment book and see if we can figure out if it's the new one
So you
or
have to
the old.
choose whether you want alternative, diagnostic, or the other one, or just all. There's formal, chapter, diagnostic.
We
and
want
all.
diagnostic.
We definitely want the diagnostic and summative, but I think we want the chapter test too. I'm pretty sure we want the. I know we want the chapter test.
Okay.
Because the chapter tests are going to be formative.
Okay.
Thank you. No, I know. I just want to make sure. Thank you. Very, very much appreciated. No.
This is
I
your
should have to
notes.
start over.
Nobody writes
Yeah.
that. Okay.
So like promoting curriculum for a district that they want. So by high school, we have assessment guides for the
All right, so should I bring them back together and talk about scheduling to do the rest of it?
Yeah.
It's already 2:15. I think we're just about to call it.
Yeah, she probably doesn't want to be there.
I agree. I mean, we completely agree.
It's gonna, we're not ready.
I think we're good. Yeah. All right. All right. So, ladies and gentlemen, is the, let me see. Okay, so my mic's on. So we're kind of coming close to the end of the day, or where we are. I know you guys are all on your timelines and everything else. I want to take sort of a minute to lay out what's been laid out for you. And so the things that we need to kind of get going on and get done with, and then when we're going to do it. And pick times to come back and kind of dig into this together, because what I want to do is be able to have you be able to get together like you are now, but also have you support, support everybody else. We want to give you all the support we need. Obviously, Robin and I are doing 6th and 7th grade too. So we're going to be going through the process with, and we know it's not an easy process, and that's one of the reasons why your principals have been very much asked to give you the time to come to get this done. The key thing is we have really 4 things that we need to have done by the 19th, which is about 10 days. Sorry, the 18th. By the 18th.
You're really gonna get them all over the edge.
So the issue is we have to have this done by about the 18th. We need to have our 3 summative assessments and the first formative, because we're going to use those to teach our teachers how to plan bachelor's promotion. And that first formative assessment is going to be key, because that's what they're going to use to develop that first unit. Right? Does everybody kind of see where that's all coming? So, yeah, yes, exactly. So the question becomes, number one, I need to know what your guys' availability is for the rest of this week. And if it's not, then that's fine. I just need to know that so I don't show up tomorrow and stay here by myself. And then 2, what time you guys want to start and on Monday. Because I know you guys need some time to build in your own classes too, right? To start getting your classroom ready for this upcoming year. All right, so Marcus is with me for whatever. Which I'm you can join me as much as you want, and maybe I'll turn around and come help with the classroom as much as I can when we get to that point. All right, so everybody else, kind of, I need to know what your schedules are, and so what time do you think you need? You're not doing kindergarten testing, to my knowledge. So what time do you need to be able to get into the classroom is the question.
I can do either. I can come here first thing in the day and then go there, or start there and come here. Either.
Okay. So every day except for next Thursday,
Okay.
I am completely open. Like my schedule, this is what my schedule is. I'm definitely going to do other things, like get your good stuff, get your report cards together, and kind of do some of those things. But in the morning, I want, or either morning or afternoon. So what do you prefer working in classrooms in the morning and then coming here, or do you want to work here in the morning and go to your class? Okay. So afternoon will work for you? Is everybody okay with afternoon? Right, so why don't we say we start here between 12:30 and 1? Is that fair? So we can get lunch? It will be next week, Monday through Friday. Unless we finish it early.
Thursday.
Yeah, Thursday I am going to be in Concord in the afternoon. So I wouldn't be available in the afternoon on Thursday. Yeah, so why don't we do Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, next week, and Friday? Is anybody available tomorrow, Friday?
As of now, I have a meeting after this,
Okay.
so if anything changes, I'll just.
Yeah, just let me know. You're available. Okay, so you want it tomorrow morning? Ms. Howard, how about you? Today? Yes? Okay, so tomorrow morning, you guys want to start at 9?
Sure.
All right, and then that way we can just kind of everybody will push it. So we're gonna have some fun. Okay? That sound fair to everybody? Friday, 9 o'clock Friday? Is that okay?
I need to check.
Okay. Just let me know. I will be here. The only thing like I said, I just want to be on my hair. But there's definitely other things I can be working on, but if that's going to be our focus in the morning, let's make that our focus in the morning. Yes.
I'm still on the vacation, so this is the volunteering thing.
Right. Now you got your vacation day back though, right?
Oh, okay.
Yes.
But I'm gonna do that.
If you want, if you need your vacation days, take your vacation days. I don't want you to not take them if you're supposed to have them. Okay? I really appreciate you being here today. Really, really appreciate that. So take the 2 days if you need them and come back in on Monday and let us just say you go Monday. But you know, that's your decision. Okay? But if you're going to change it, let Michelle know so she can give you back the days.
Because there's no human.
Yep.
Use it.
Definitely use it. You can't add anymore if you're already at the max. So if you're not at the max, if you use days throughout the year, they'll fill in the So who's here tomorrow morning? Just so I know. 1, 2, 3, 4. Perfect. All right. So we'll see you tomorrow morning. All right. Okay. Thank you. And they're just under the names of the assessments themselves.
Yeah, so it's gonna be HSP would be your one search keyword,
Mhm.
and then the other one would be
Hold on. Okay. Yeah, there's a bunch of those. Right. Got it. All right. Thank you so much. Really appreciate it. And we're pretty much wrapped up for today. They're good to go. Yeah, we're a little early, but I think we kind of overloaded everybody to the point of they got stuff to do. We're good to go. And as long as we start to make our dead marks, yeah, we really appreciate your time.
This is good. This is really good. I was even able to follow along.
Yes.
Dr. Fortune and I could keep up with you.
That's a
That
good
is
sign.
saying a lot.
Well, no,
Well, yeah, it's good. It's great. You did a great job of presenting.
okay. I'll stay as long as I was planning.
Hello?
And then Tammy, you want help with silvery stuff?
Yes, yes.
So really the key-
I'm almost done building my section, and then anything else not covered is awesome. Thank you.
Right?
Can anyone hear me?
Making sure that we're covering the rest.
Yes, I can hear you.
Because we have
Could I just?
second.
Yeah.
Someone else?
Because we don't have to do it.
No, it's bad.
But we have to do the other.
Picture change. Getting vertigo. I can't do it.
The first trimester, they need to cover chapters 1 and 2. So then they're looking at chapters 3, 4, 5 for chapter 2.
And then now we have those chapters.
Yeah.
6, 7, and 8. And okay.
So most of that all is more
Yes. So I you can make it very
It'll be more challenging. Once had the where did you see the highlighted one? Or I had the highlighted too. Or was it after this part? At the end of this chapter. Okay. Light red compared to the dark red. All right. So again, so 1, 2. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. So like if you look at your weeks, week 1 week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks. So we're gonna have.
They're not doing all the writing workshops.
Okay, that might actually be a good thing. Right? Can I take these out of here?
We have a conference in Houston in 2 weeks, and last night Mary Jane lied.
Knowing what kind of
Yeah. I guess my feeling is that because this one's talking about I know that.
Kind versus type.
I had been or whatever, and Kinder is.
We can always see what it turns out to be.
But they're
Little bows. Okay, so the right. So let's see, in 6th grade. That's the right. Okay, so you're doing argument to support claims. There will not be a writing workshop, so they'll have to figure out assignments. Yeah. Write the explanatory text to the topic and convey ideas that that's new too. So there's write narratives. So there's develop real or imaginary techniques. So that's These guys would need to be aware of it. And then other relevant sources.
Right.
Right. That's just. But, so, they're not doing responsibility.
Not at all.
Well, I can see it. Research projects, technology.
It's better.
That's just the writing strategies, right? This is writing strategies. Right, narratives. That's all narratives.
Yeah.
You can do it and apply it to that, though.
Sure, absolutely.
Right? So you just have to make sure you're applying it to that
So
standard.
what we should look at though is the ones that writing workshops.
Yeah. Definitely. Yeah.
Yeah. Don't forget when you guys go through this, how much the writing applications have changed.
I was just gonna ask you that, one of them is now fifth grade writing. Tested or what?
Then I mean, I wouldn't, like, that's what we're looking at right now, because they have the 6th, 7th grade, the writing workshops are pretty lengthy. And, you know, there's nothing on some of these old applications in the new standards. But they're, you know, like they're being subjected to arguments. So students are going to have to learn how to write an argument as opposed to persuasive essays. So I think that we have to look at, you know, our writing applications are going to change. So what's it going to look like in the instruction? It might not be exactly the same as what the program has for the workshop. And it may be in those cases that you might be adapting it, or it might be even pulling some other material. It does, we just don't have the time.
So right now, we just not
As we're doing, I think when we get into the pacing, we're going to have to maybe block out the writing.
In terms of the summative assessments, though,
well, given that it's not directly assessed.
Right. Right.
So we could say.
Yeah, whichever ones are assessed, put them in. The ones that aren't, no.
We could do something like 2 weeks after this portion of the summative assessment, have some sort of rubric of some kind, and do as a grade level and collaboration kind of thing.
Yeah, and it may be, you know, you're bringing in writing assignments that are, you know, shorter. You know, we're not looking at a 2-week writing. The person, 3rd grade, you probably won't be doing a 2-week writing workshop, you know, the same way as you do at the upper grades. We don't have time to cover all the old stuff that's not even relevant in the new standards. Just because it's in the program. You got enough to cover that.
Yeah.
They look all out.
It's not crucial, it's not a key step to borrowing.
So you guys are okay with leaving writing?
Let's leave it alone for right now. Because it definitely has changed. The writing.
So
Can you think about?
there's 3 text types.
Yeah.
So we use text type.
Okay. That's okay. That's a good idea.
Yeah.
So we looked at the beat and said, okay, that really is mirrored.
Yeah.
Those two things, and that can be creative.
Yeah.
That argument,
Yeah.
What do you think about the listening and speaking? Are leaving it because they're not tested? I mean, I think the listening ones are tested. They're still not
I don't
No, absolutely. All right. So if you look at this is, I have to do it this way. Otherwise, my brain isn't gonna I have to start organizing. So if I look here, if I just look at the stories, that's the end of chapter 1. Chapter 1 took 4 weeks, essentially, right? And then I'll do the same thing for I'll do this very same thing for chapter 2 and see where it fits in before the assessment. Because I know if I do a week on both of these selections, even the paired selection, if I do a week on it, I do a week on it, right? I'll cover it twice. And I'll do 2 weeks on that, so you have 1 week of drafting and editing. So you can go through the whole process, right? The graphic organizer, all that.
that's going to be embedded in those 4 weeks right there.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. So it'll be chapter 1 is all summer. Yeah. So we'll do all summer in a day. We'll cover these standards. That's the standard. So it covers. Yeah.
Hello?
You want me to send you this?
Yeah.
I didn't do all of them all the way down because that's them.
I'm just going to take the channel.
Huh? I know, I have to.
Yes, there's only 4 reading comprehension. I don't know, because I haven't yet. I don't either. But I do know that it's not, and it included that for 12, which is basically all the vocabulary. Yeah, for that.
If this was like the only thing I was thinking about, it would be fine. But it's not. So. But it's not. So you messed up. My off-the-record conversation with Craig. No,